Around 3 weeks ago, I was flying to Pisa, Italy. For this leg, I was pilot flying, and as we started the approach, I remember thinking to myself, there's no place I'd rather be than right here, right now. We had flown along the coast of Spain and France, saw the beautiful Swiss Alps, and on final approach, the majestic Monte Pisano mountain range still glistening from the final stages of the Tuscan sunset. There was no place I'd rather be than that very seat. Not surfing some waves, not playing football, not jamming to music at a music festival, not playing video games, nothing. It got me thinking about how people are always on about doing what you love for a living. If you do the job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life, they say. What can be more of a statement than that moment? An adrenaline rush that you get paid for. I've been an airline pilot for 5 years now, and in this video, I'd like to tell you 6 reasons I'd recommend becoming an airline pilot in 2023. Of course, everyone's mileage may vary, and what I find fun and interesting about the job may be unappealing for others. Let's get into it. Number 1, passion for aviation. Let's get one thing straight. Aviation is fascinating for some people and a complete turn-off for others. My girlfriend has no affinity whatsoever to become a pilot, and in fact looks at a career as an airline pilot as one of the least likely occupations she'd select for fulfillment. Having a passion for aviation is almost a prerequisite for enjoying life as an airline pilot. But if you have this passion, what better place to be than surrounded by all things aviation? You're always seeing new types of aircraft dealing with different airspaces, airports and operations. Flying is fun. Taking off, landing, it never really gets old, to be honest. I'm 3,000 hours deep in this journey and still experience moments of ecstasy while flying around the globe. Number 2, the learning never stops. I hated school. I really did. I actually had a nightmare the other day in which I woke up, remembered I had a maths test, and then proceeded to freak out. Then I woke up in real life, and the only thing I had to do that day was go work for 12 hours, and I was so happy. It sounds silly and even a little bit exaggerated, but honestly, my life as an airline pilot is a million times better than as a high school student. I find it funny because the job requires constant learning. In fact, we have 2 simulator sessions per year that really test your abilities and knowledge as a pilot. There's always something to learn, whether it be new standard operating procedures, flight techniques, or unusual scenarios. I've spoken to a couple of captains that are close to retirement. They have more than 25,000 hours, and even they are still learning new things all the time. For me, the difference between learning in school and learning as a pilot comes down to my earlier point, passion. I thoroughly enjoy learning new things in the cockpit because it's a field that interests me. Number 3, it is a dynamic job. You can do the same flight every day for a week. Let's say Barcelona to Berlin. And every day can be completely different from the last. You will fly with different crew, you will land on different runways. One flight is a crosswind, the other is tailwind, and some with no wind at all. Sunny, rainy, snowy, hot, cold, busy air traffic versus radio silence. Every day presents slightly different challenges, and it's nice when everything goes according to plan, but at the same time, it's a dynamic situation, which prevents you from getting too bored. On one flight, you may have needed to take extra fuel because weather en route was a little bit sketchy. And now you're landing an aircraft at a weight that is heavier than you're used to. Or it's a ferry flight with no passengers and minimum fuel. So you have to consider how the aircraft will react under these new parameters. Everything feels like it has a little bit of a push and pull mechanic to it, where a change in one aspect has a ripple effect on the next. Number 4, high earnings potential. Like most industries, your starting salary in a career is not exactly flattering. But as you move up the ranks and get into an established airline, your bank account starts to accumulate at a decent rate. Not exactly the level of actors, NBA or football players, but very comfortable. With a good savings rate and investing habits, you can live a very good life as an airline pilot and establish yourself in the list of top earners in most countries. To have a net worth that puts you in the top 5% of Americans, you would need to be worth just over $1 million. Something achievable by senior captains in some airlines in less than 5 years if they really prioritized it. I'd like to also stress that the time to reach a high salary is relatively short compared to other jobs, such as being a surgeon, which usually takes a decade or more. Whereas You could be earning six figures in as little as 5 years as an airline pilot. Number 5, lifestyle flexibility. I would say that for me, the amount of days off in this profession may very well be one of my favorite things about it. There is a legal amount of hours that you can fly per month, and in my current company, I generally enjoy around 12 to 14 days off per month, excluding any vacation time. Compare this with other jobs that generally only have 8 weekend days off per month, and it's easy to see why I view an airline pilot schedule as absolutely fantastic in terms of quality of life. Number 6, the perks. Who could forget about the perks? As an airline pilot, one aspect of your contract will detail how you are entitled to extremely discounted tickets on a number of airlines. You could buy a business class ticket for 10% of its original price. For faraway destinations, this opens up so many possibilities to explore places that were either too expensive or too cumbersome to get to. Experiencing a diverse new culture, cuisine, and landscape is fulfilling while you're working, but I'd argue even more so on your days off. Oh, and one last thing, let's call it a bonus perk. There's definitely something about uniform that attracts potential partners. At the end of the day, becoming a pilot requires discipline, eagerness to learn, sacrifice, and the good fortune of some money to get you started. But honestly, I couldn't imagine doing anything better. Keep at it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.